Hello, and we'd like to welcome you back to Deep Images. We are continuing our Halloween 2024 fair with zombies. With me on this, it will be a full house of contributors: Nick Mays, Bill Mulligan, Tim Tolbert, Briggy Williams, Justin Cotton, and very special guest Yvette Zahn, star of Island of the Living Dead and Zombies: The Beginning, both by Bruno Mattei. So please join us and let's get into it. So I'm flipping a coin, and it looks like Tim has left us to go into the Phantom Zone.
Oh,
No,
Tim is
I was
here.
actually zombie killing. I had that to
Oh,
do while you
okay.
guys were talking about zombies.
Oh, okay.
Yvette's been training you off camera behind.
Yes, yes.
Um, so uh, while you're here, Tim, I think it's appropriate. I'll go ahead and throw this to you next because I wasn't sure when you were coming on originally. So,
I wasn't sure either, so I figured I might as well just get it out of the way now. I
such
actually
a
was on
chore.
earlier. I was on earlier than I thought I was going to be,
Yeah.
so I was like, well, I'll just come on to the chat and hang out with everybody. So hi, folks that I know, folks I'm meeting
Hi.
for the first time.
Hello.
I'm Tim, in case people don't know me. I'm the resident funny man here at Deep Images, and I've been on a bit of a hiatus, and I pop up every once in a while, and and fun things like that.
Tim's also an original cast member, and
Yes.
he's been our executive producer for pretty much most of our run. He kind of helped the show launch, like helped pay for it and supported it and helped sponsor it, and so we're totally in his debt forever.
Yeah, I try to as much as I possibly can. And for those who don't know, or for anybody who is watching this is important to the video. But I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is the zombie capital of the entire world, because that's where Romero made Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. So when I was trying to think of zombie films to go into, I mean, there's so many even now. What I decided was, why not go with a Pittsburgh movie, but one that very few people have actually heard of or know, maybe for better, maybe for worse, which is the 1988 direct-to-video movie called Flesh Eater, which was also known as Revenge of the Living Dead. Now, this movie, kind of like Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, it was put out in a beautiful 4K that was from Vinegar Syndrome. I mean, it looks better than probably the movie has any right to actually look. Um, this film was one of those like video store staples. Anytime you went to go get a VHS or anything like that, it was always around. It was always there. And the hook of this movie is that the actor Bill Hinsman, who was from the area, who did a lot of different kind of TV and educational and industrial films, just even across the country, he was the cemetery ghoul in the original Night of the Living Dead, the very first zombie that you ever see.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie is basically, it's a lot of things, and one of them is that it is a feature film spin-off of his zombie character from Night of the Living Dead. And it both is his zombie character and it isn't. And you're probably wondering, well, what do you mean by that? Well, I'm glad that you guys asked me that question, because the film has no idea what it means by that. The problem is that it wants to be adjacent to Night of the Living Dead and happen concurrently, but then it also contradicts that movie, I think, a whole lot. It's basically, the plot is a remake of Night of the Living Dead. It's like two things converging to one. It's your survivors who are trying to navigate this zombie apocalypse, which, for the record, the film makes it only seem like it's a neighborhood, that gets infected. It doesn't seem like it's this global
They
catastrophe.
couldn't
It's
afford
maybe a
even a
little,
city.
yeah, it's maybe a little cul-de-sac that gets infected. And then there's Bill Hinsman's character, who is that cemetery zombie, who all of his scenes are kind of like Night of the Living Dead from his perspective. Now, granted, none of the characters are actually from Night of the Living Dead, but they all have they're all analogous to those characters in some way, shape, or form. And then they decided they're going to throw in things, to kind of keep it a little more interesting. So they have topless women running around for just reasons. They have a Halloween party happen at one point where people are partying and they're like, "Oh, there's zombies here," and it's all very goofy and silly. The musical score is basically three notes that they play over and over and over and over and over again, and even the ending is ripped right out of Night of the Living Dead. I mean, it literally is the ending of Night of the Living Dead, except the only difference here is that the cemetery zombie actually survives because in Night of the Living Dead they do imply that he's been killed and put into the fire pit because I think you see an image of him in the stills. Like a
That's not
lot
going to
of the
stop Bill Hinsman.
yeah, but a lot of these zombie movies, even if they're kind of not the most effective with acting and plot, the gore is usually pretty on point. The gore is great in this one too, and a lot of the people that worked on Romero movies worked on this film. What's interesting is that it would be this one, Night of the Living Dead that Tom Savini did, and then a movie called Toxic Zombies that
Hmm.
was filmed in the area, and then they kind of stopped making those major zombie movies in Pittsburgh. Romero would move his stuff to Toronto, although still kind of set it in the general area.
Hmm.
And this one was also filmed closer to where I am than, say, Night of the Living Dead, which Night of the Living Dead was in Evans City, which is kind of a ways away. This one was filmed a little bit closer. It was filmed in places like Coriopolis, is where Michael Keaton's from. Um, and really, there's not much to the movie other than it's basically a ripoff of Night of the Living Dead. But the the novelty of it comes from if you like that cemetery character. I mean, I think that he is an iconic zombie. I mean, he's the first one that you ever see in that movie, and you think, "Gee whiz, I wish that he had a spin-off." Well, this movie answers your question, and it's just goofy fun. I mean, I
Sure,
wouldn't
sure.
when I watched it with the impression that it was going to be the worst thing in the whole world. I actually thought it was pretty entertaining, all things considered, especially when you compare it to stuff like Children of the Living Dead and things like that Night of the Living Dead 30th anniversary. And granted, that's all bottom of the barrel
Yeah,
stuff,
it is.
but
Yeah.
I think it's a lot better than those movies because it's just entertaining and fun. And the fact that it's set on Halloween, so it has kind of like a home movies Halloween kind of a vibe to it. People are in cheesy costumes and it's just fun and everybody's sort of blue collar and the sky's perpetually gray and there's a lot of like rundown buildings and it just I don't know. It just to me it's a lot of fun and I think that if you can find that Vinegar Syndrome print, absolutely worth doing it because it looks like it was filmed 2 days ago.
You know if
You
it's
know,
on streaming anywhere?
it is on Tubi.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure what print is on Tubi though. It could be the Vinegar Syndrome print. It could be an older version. I'm not sure, but it is on Tubi if anybody wants to watch it. I think it's under Flesh Eater, not Revenge of the Living Dead. I'm not sure when it was actually ever released as that, but somehow I did see that as an AKA at some point.
Thank the gods for Tubi.
Yo, yeah, Tubi's the best. And what's funny is it seems like of all of the subgenres, Tubi seems to have the most zombie movies of a lot of them too.
Oh
So
yeah.
most of what we talk
Yeah.
about today you can find on Tubi.
Yeah, I searched zombie the other night and it was just massive.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Absolutely.
that's how I saw the movies with Yvette. So
Yeah,
so thank the gods for Tubi.
absolutely, which are great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my recommendation, folks. So there will be a pop quiz on my movie after you guys all watch it. So I'm gonna be taking notes and making sure everybody watches Flesh Eater, and I
Don't
will
grade
I
us
will
too harshly.
yeah, no, it'll be fine. It'll be
I
fine.
I don't know if Funky Lollipop has disappeared
I don't know.
temporarily or
I don't know.
I'm not seeing any other emails from her.
I don't know.
Um,
Maybe hopefully they didn't get offended that I said the movie had topless women running around. So, well,
I don't
because it
think so.
does. It's true.
well, I mean, I don't know what to say about that. What well, since she's gone, I'm gonna give the gavel to Nick. His very first review for us, and we're gonna see what he's got to talk about today. It's probably a movie that almost everyone here has heard of, if not seen.
I hope so. I
That's,
just have to
that's
give
my
it
Blu-ray
praise.
library behind him, by the way.
Is that
Oh, is
okay?
he broadcasting from your house?
Yes, live from Flickr
Is that
Street
okay?
Oh,
Studio.
wow. No, I just didn't
Beautiful.
know that. That's pretty cool.
He lives in Charlotte too, so
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So hi, my name's Nick. I'm basically just a fan, so I wanted to come in here and do something.
That's
He
cool.
recommended the Train to Busan, and so I watched that.
Henry, we've traced the call. It's coming from inside your house.
Yeah, exactly. Killer is in the house. Um, what tell us about this movie. Just
I gotta tell you nothing but praise. Honestly, I went into it with negative references. I don't like movies like Phone Booth. I don't like movies like Nicolas Cage's Family Man, where he's like too busy for his family and stuff. It started that way, and it kept like
hey, but
if
it
you exponentially add a zombie to a zombie, and then they just keep multiplying, and then the emotional things where it comes into like you started to see this person, and then all of a sudden now they're gone, you know?
mm,
It's powerful stuff all encapsulated in there. And the first time I watched it, I wasn't paying attention, so I had to go back and watch it a second time because I didn't want to disservice the movie. I think anybody should see that movie. Honestly, it's so deep. There's so many different layers. So I was kind of hoping that you'd ask me a question or something, and then I could answer like
well
questions about.
well I was gonna say, I mean, you're right, it has that family setup which can be done in a kind of a corny way. But it was made by South Koreans. So um
That's a very important part too. I
yep.
had to pay attention to it the second time. I set myself up. I was ready. The first time I thought I could multitask, and I just couldn't.
Yeah, probably not a
Yeah.
good. Probably you should probably pay attention to South Korean movies. They're very usually
Well,
very
good.
detailed, very rich, and they do it.
At first I was like, "Well, good, they're starting it off soon. I don't have to wait around." And then I had to deal with, the drama part, but I kept not paying attention to the subtleties the whole time until I watched it the second time. I only watched it halfway the first time because I was like, "No, I can't." But the second time I set myself up, and I promise I think everybody should give it a chance. It's dynamic. So basically, like just to say a couple of parts without giving away the whole thing, it's like this father wants to make his daughter happy, so they have to get on the train, right? So there's that phone booth thing. I'm like, please don't end up in a train, but they're in a train. And then guess what? That now some little old weirdo gets into the plane, I mean the train or the automobile, and then after that, it's off. They just take off and everything's supposed to be Gucci, right? No, no, it goes fast. It goes really fast inside of that train. People start getting multiplying, and the entire movie is that way. And I didn't realize it. So I had to start it over and watch it again. So I might watch it again for a third time, honestly. I think that it's a good movie
They have to
with
keep
that lot
running
of dynamic
through
part.
the cars and sealing them off to get away from the
And
zombies.
and it's because it's a train. It's not
Yeah.
just one little area. It's all over their country. Like they're trying to find a place to get somewhere safe.
There's an interesting thing about Train to Busan. Some of y'all may know there are two other movies that are set in that shared universe. There's Seoul Station, which is an animated film, which I personally like a lot better than Train to Busan. That's just me. Um, but oh, hold on. Here's Brig. He's coming back. And then there's also one called Peninsula that's kind of newer. Uh, that I thought was okay. I really should give it another chance.
Mm.
I didn't. Have you seen any of these, Bill?
I have not seen either of those two. I just want to say Train to Busan is the exception that proves the rule. I said I don't like fast moving zombies. These are some these are some track stars here, but this is a
Oh,
fantastic movie. This is
yes, I'm
just a
so glad to hear
great
you say
movie.
that because as you were
Love
saying
it.
what you were saying earlier, I was thinking to myself, how do I compensate for that
Well, no,
entire
no,
content? Because there's
I
people
see slow
falling off
zombies
and the
as
zombies are breaking their arms and they're
oh, they're
still moving
crazy.
forward.
I mean, slow zombies are horror films. Fast zombies are action films, but I like
Yeah,
action
yeah,
films.
there's another really good, at least I thought it was good, South Korean fast zombie movie that was on Netflix during COVID, which was called Hashtag Alive, which is about a young
Yeah.
man who lives in like an apartment high rise who basically gets stuck there. It's not like Wreck or like Demons 2 where it's like the stuff in a high rise. It's just he's trying to survive
Um,
and basically leave his
I think I
apartment
remember
due to
that from
safety.
two apartments across the way.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that one's very good too, and kind of a lot of the zombie action is in the square of this apartment complex, and that one's very well done and very interesting. The South Koreans are really able to take genres that seem kind of tired and make them into, put them in completely new perspectives and really blow your mind, especially if you've never seen foreign films before. I've
Yeah.
shown Train to Busan to people that have never had an interest in watching movies with subtitles, and it really turned them onto those kinds of movies.
Hmm.
Good, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think South Koreans, at least in the last 2 decades, have made some of the best crafted
Uh,
movies on
are
that.
Squid Games
Not
included
they're
in
not all
that
winners.
group or no? I can't tell. I
What are
don't
you
know
gonna say,
They're
Nick?
myself. Or
South
Squid Games.
Korean, yeah.
Okay, well, what about the other ones where they got the apartments and they gotta play those other games where they gotta like try to stay alive and stuff. They get the cards and they gotta.
I don't
Yeah,
remember that one.
it was on Netflix too,
Is
but
that
it's
an
okay.
Asian film that you saw on
We used
Netflix?
to watch. No, yeah, I guess so. But we used to watch these all the time. Like they would be popping off on Netflix back to back. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
just can't
yeah.
remember what that
Yeah.
one's called. Everybody shows up. They're supposed to take a card, and then they're on a different
I don't
level.
know.
And there's different ones too. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I
I don't know.
understand.
I have heard
I'll
hashtag
figure
alive
it
is
out.
great. Unlike y'all, I've not seen it. I don't.
Yeah, it's
I
I think it's.
canceled
I
my
mean, there's
Netflix a while back, maybe two.
there's stuff in it that kind of is reminiscent of some of those like zombie actioners like Bill was sort of talking about, but because the South Koreans do it, obviously it's not something like World War Z or or one of the Resident Evil movies. It has a little bit more of a substance to it, but it's very very well done. I kind of went into it thinking, I've sort of seen that premise before, and came out of it actually pretty impressed. And of course, it has heart to it as well. So,
Have you
which
guys
is
seen
something they do really well.
what's it, Gunnam Zombie Station?
Yeah,
Real
yeah, yeah.
recently.
I don't think I've seen that, but I've
It's a,
heard of that
that's
movie.
very similar. It's like a couple and they're running through a mall and it's action and the fast zombies and miraculously somehow this guy is able to just fend them off because of his martial arts prowess without getting hit. He finally is he's cornered on top of a car and there really wasn't much more to the movie than that. But it was kind of exciting for a little while.
Yeah.
But but I did see because of course the sadness is like the most extreme one, which is falls under that contagion
Yeah.
zombie kind of movie, but it plays with those conventions, and of course that was based on the Cross comic book series. Even though at first they didn't credit it, I don't know if they did. I don't know if Garth Ennis, said anything to them. I read that he was flattered, but I don't know if his lawyers were flattered or not. But but so now he's going to be involved in doing an actual Crossed movie,
Well,
set in in the UK where the comic book was set. But the sadness was if you haven't read the Cross comics, the sadness is insanely shocking. If you have read it, it's shocking because you're like, oh my god, they're really like acting stuff out, and it's really
yeah. Yeah.
disgusting. Um,
Henry, can I just say, I think Briggy might be waiting to be let back in from the
no, she's
waiting
right
room.
here.
I'm
Oh,
here.
good, she's good. Yeah, that's good.
You didn't see her?
Sorry. No, she didn't come
That's
up with my screen.
okay. You didn't
I
see
don't,
me?
Justin. I don't know if you know this, but everybody on this conversation right now, we're all downstairs at Henry's house, so we just have to walk in and out of the door.
I've got them all locked in the basement.
That's
Yes,
actually
it's
kind
all
of
very
funny.
easy.
Don't
He
go in
said
the
I can get
basement.
out later if I finish this episode without making any mistakes.
It's weird.
So Nick, any final thoughts on Train to Busan? Where did you see it? Where would you still tell people to go look to see it?
I mean, you should totally get it on Blu-ray if you got an option or DVD. But I mean, I also saw it was available on YouTube. So at
Yes, the
last
free
resort,
option is
if you
one
don't,
we encourage too.
It's on Shutter too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
oh,
I think maybe it is. It kind of comes and goes. A lot of those movies like that Shudder will have them a few months, and then they won't have them a few months. And
Yeah.
back around. But yeah, I saw it not too long ago that it was on Shudder. I saw it on.
I think
I
if you
saw
get
it
a
on. I think
chance
I
to
saw it
have
on Netflix before it went
if
away.
you have a chance to have an actual physical disc, you run the risk of like
Oh,
having it get scratched and it not
oh, I
being
know.
good again or something.
We're all
But it,
collectors. We know the risks.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
I'm just saying it's one of the movies where after I watched it the first time and seeing how what I thought was just cheese turned into the exact reason why I was watching the movie, and it just didn't stop until I wanted it to stop, and then I don't know if it still wanted when I wanted it to stop the whole time because I was still thinking about it
It's
too. Like
successful.
it was well written, and the parts that I didn't like ended up tying into the whole reason why the movie was written, I think, anyways. So it's pretty freaking good.
Thanks, Nick. I'm gonna rewatch it this weekend then, because I own it and I haven't watched it in a while. So
Oh,
I'm gonna rewatch it now because
Yeah.
I
I
love
haven't
that
watched it in a
movie.
while
So.
either. I think I've only seen it once.
I'll give it my first time 10 out of 10 just because I haven't seen something that I was gonna be so doubtful. Like I said, think about Nicolas Cage when he did The Family Man and he's not taking
Trying
care
not
of his
to.
kids
Please don't
or
do
he's
that.
doing work and stuff. Or think about any other cheesy thing where somebody's overacting. But then later on when the complexity starts piling on, the fact of it is it like I used to play little old school physics games when I was programming computer games and stuff, like cheesy physics games. They turn that into what they do in this movie, like in Topple on top. There's broken zombies that you recognize from earlier in the movie, and it
Oh, it's
just
very
Mhm.
detailed and consistent. Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, most South Korean films at least have that going for them. Recently, some of the thrillers are starting to get a little repetitious and less well written, but even them, a lot of them are better crafted than quite a lot of Hollywood movies, frankly, for much less money.
I've
Yeah.
always been impressed by Japanese and South Korean thrillers or horrors. They always seem to be really done quite well. The ones
Exactly.
I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I tell people if they're into Japanese horror or genre movies, go the next step to South Korean. I mean,
And for those who don't know, the sadness is Taiwanese. I finally
oh, you're
wanted to
right. I
mention that.
said it
Yeah.
was South Korean. You're right.
No, it's. I'm pretty sure it's Taiwanese.
So it's actually
Um.
Chinese because there's one China, contrary to
Oh
what some
well.
people say.
Whatever. Whatever. It. You know.
Whatever.
No, but there is a good distinction. Yeah, no,
Get
yeah.
it right. Get it right.
It's like Ang Lee. Ang Lee's like people are like, "Are you born in China?" And he said, "I was born in Taiwan." And then you get that debate going. It just depends on how someone identifies, I guess. But thanks you for reminding me. I did not remember.
No, I was saying that even for the viewers who are like, oh, I want to check this movie out. That I'm pretty sure it was
I don't want to
Taiwanese.
misinform y'all about this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually just got the
I didn't
vinegar
see
syndrome of
anything.
the sadness. So,
This is amazing.
well, Nick,
So
thank you
the
for the
film,
review. That was great.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Nick.
I'm sure it didn't do service, but I don't want
Oh,
to
you did
give
a
away
great
a
job. Don't worry about it.
storyline thing for this because I think the viewers that watch it, if they watch it with giving it time, like I said, prepare because I was multitasking the first time, and then when I got good, I was like, I gotta watch the whole thing over from
Yeah,
beginning
yeah.
to end.
If you like crazy, fast paced movies on a train, made by South Koreans, you should watch Snowpiercer, which we reviewed
Oh,
on this channel.
Oh,
No,
that was good. Yeah,
I personally love it. It has a lot of haters, but
it's
I love
great.
it. I love
I
it.
think they
I
made a
may,
sequel. Didn't they make a sequel to that? I thought they
No,
did.
they made a TV series, which
Oh, it was a series.
I
Okay.
just watched the first episode literally last week, and
Hmm.
none of the characters are the same. I mean, they are and they aren't. It's got some weak acting, but Jennifer Connelly is essentially playing. It seems like she's playing a cross between the Ed Harris character and the Tilda Swinton character,
Hmm.
kind of mushed together. It like I said, I only watched the first episode. It doesn't really. I mean, if you had never seen the movie, you would be able to make no sense of it whatsoever. Luckily, I've seen the movie, so I kind of I get it, but it's still not making a lot of sense. But like we were talking about with Briggy before, like Westworld, you stopped on
Hmm.
episode 4, and I'm like, well, that's probably where it started to begin to
I
make
stopped.
sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
stopped there. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go beyond, but I should pick it up again.
Yeah, but
Totally.
I'll catch up on Snowpiercer and get
Mhm.
going. praise
I
it.
watch shows like 10 years after they've been out, so I'm sure Westworld, it'll be like 2045, and I'll be like, I finally finished Westworld. It's great.
I don't
So,
remember why I stopped watching it, but I'm sure it's something.
yeah.
Vet, do you have any time with us? Do you need to go? We would definitely want to honor your time. No? You
No, it's okay. I'm just listening.
I know you. I
Well,
know.
Henry, I am going to probably duck out now, but I did want to say hi to everybody and
All right,
bye to
Tim.
everybody.
It's
And
good seeing you.
Good seeing you, sir.
oh, it was
Tim.
good seeing you guys. And Henry, like I said, I'm waiving my personal appearance fee for this just for you as a favor to the channel.
Well, that's okay because
So,
we're waiving the fine for all the times you canceled on us.
well, sure, that's fine. See, it's gonna be
That's even.
quid pro quo. That works for me.
Exactly. All right,
Absolutely
brother.
works for me. So I'll see you in court then.
All
That'll
right.
sounds great.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, take care, everybody.
You too,
Bye
bud.
Good
now.
seeing you.
Bye.
But
So, Bricky,
That's crazy. Yes.
you wanted to talk about a Nick, a rather contemporary zombie film of a certain bent.
Oh yeah. I mean, first of all, I want to say that as far as zombie movies go, uh, I'm I'm a fan, but I'm sort of like a anti-fan of. So I like humor in my zombie films.
Like a Shaun of the Dead.
So this one was
No, that's not
really.
humor.
No, no, no,
There
it's
is
not humor.
humor,
No, 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 no,
but
no.
it's not. Yeah,
But this is it's Abraham Lincoln versus zombies. And so anything that's like so weird. Remember there was like a movie called, I think it was Abraham Lincoln versus vampires or something. I don't know.
and it has a
A
sequel.
Vampire Hunter. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like that. But this was so okay, it's extremely campy. It's the premise is absolutely ridiculous, but for some reason it was something that I really connected with. I think it was just, Abraham Lincoln, just thinking about a young Abe Lincoln, which is how it opens, a young Abe Lincoln, you know, um, who his parents running through the woods. They're already zombies. They don't really explain how or why, like most zombie movies, how this happened. We're just sort of thrown in the
Sure.
like the deep end. And so, the father, you know, has captured the mother and the mother is a zombie. And so he tells, this young Abe Lincoln, listen, we don't know that it's him, but later on we find out. You've got to kill your mom. You've got to kill me because I've got to do it. You just so he kills them both, and then fast forward, he's an adult. He's already the president, and they're fighting, of course, the Confederates, and it's this, But you know, um, one of his soldiers comes back and says, "Look, there are like these Confederates that are like unhuman, and we don't know exactly what's going on." And but then of course,
Us Southerners really are human, contrary to what a lot of people.
I thought so. I thought
Got
so.
three
But
of them right along the top here.
what was so weird was, oh, is that the three? Okay, cool. The thing that was
Well,
so,
Bill's a transplant, but
Yeah.
oh, okay, oh, okay. That was so amazing to me was how um how campy the acting was. The Abraham Lincoln character was, just bigger than life and very over exaggerated as a character. And of course, his wife, who, he had to leave behind because he decided it was sort of like, in the midst of fighting, slavery, the scourge of slavery, he had to also go out and kill vampires. He had time to do all of this. So, so I sort of had in my mind, it was sort of like, I don't know, like, how soldiers, or back in those days, they would like write letters to their wives and they would be like, "Dear Beauregard, I am here fighting these zombies and I have to," you know what I mean? It was sort of like, "Please tell Mary Todd to bring the shiffer around." And, it's sort of like I sort of heard this in my mind. They were playing like the violin, and so he gets a
Can
band
I
of.
interrupt you for 1 sec?
Mhm.
I need to use the restroom, so don't
Oh,
stop. Carry on as though
oh, you want me to carry on as though you're not
of
here?
course, don't yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what we all. Okay, okay, fine. So he gathers like a sort of scrappy band of patriots who have volunteered to go on the road with him, to go off and kill these vampires. Now, mind you, he doesn't know in its midst, the people that he has recruited, that one of them is John Wilkes Booth, which is which is kind of interesting, I thought. You don't find out until later. So they run upon these zombies, and they have their guns, and they don't know that they're zombies yet. They just think that these were just Confederate soldiers that have overrun a town, and they're just trying to figure out what's going on. But they keep saying that they came down with this illness. And so they run into a zombie, and this one zombie bites one of the guys, and they don't know exactly what's going on. And they're like, what is happening here? Well, it turns out that after the zombie bites the guy, that the guy is dead, but then he kind of is looking a little bit like he's still alive, and they're not sure what's going on. Then they run into a fort, and they break into this fort, and the fort has Confederate soldiers. And so, of course, they're gonna fight amongst each other, but at some point they create an alliance. I'm sort of fast forwarding a bit. And the fort is pretty much the only safe place because all these zombies are on the other side. But they realize that they have to go out and get help, and they can't stay there forever. And so as they go in this town where this fort is, they go into a house, and there are people in there, and they start shooting them. Well, it turns out that it's these three women and a child. And what turns up happening is the woman shoots one of the soldiers that's with Abe Lincoln, wounding him. And when they go to figure out who they are, it turns out that this is one of Abe Lincoln. This is a brothel, and this is Abe Lincoln's like lover. You know what I mean? Like it's so crazy. But so Abe Lincoln had this woman that he was madly in love with, and she smacks him and goes like, "How could you leave me? And you said you loved me." And her name happens to be Mary as well, interestingly enough. And they rekindle a very interesting romance between them, and he saves them. Oh, there's Henry. Okay, and he saves them. And the young boy happens to be a very young Teddy Roosevelt. See, it's like it's so crazy, right? It's like it's really bizarre. And so it's sort of weird because they kind of drop different phrases like, what is it? Walk tall and carry a big stick or something like that. Yeah. So this is what Abraham Lincoln is telling this young Teddy Roosevelt, who I don't know, he's like, wait, what did I step into? Uh, so so he gives him this stick, and he says, "Here, this is what you're going to need to kill these zombies." Well, it turns out, along with this crew of people, there was a black guy there, and the black guy said, "Well, these are what we call zombies in Haiti," and blah blah blah. So this is what now Abe Lincoln is calling these undead creatures zombies. But the Confederate soldiers think that they're just unwell, and it's like you can't just kill these people in cold blood. They need medical attention. Well, Abe Lincoln is like, "Listen, I've seen this before when I was a kid. There's nothing you can do to help them, but you have to kill them, and just shooting them is not going to help. You've got to take their heads off." And the Confederate soldiers are like, "There's no way I'm going to do this to my brethren. We fought together." And then they begin to understand what has to happen. And so Abe Lincoln, along with all the other people, well, Abe Lincoln has like this long ass sickle, and he's just slicing through. He's just slicing. He's just slicing through all of these
Brain dead.
zombies, and it's pretty cool in that the woman that he was in love with from the brothel, she manages, sadly, as she's slicing these zombies, she gets all this blood in her face and in her mouth. And so she's now infected. And Abe is like, "Oh man, like, what am I going to do?" Sort of thing. And so now at some point we know she has to die because, but he doesn't want to kill her because he's still in love with her. I'm going to sort of fast forward a little bit to toward the end, and how they wind up killing the zombies with like this huge um, cache of explosives that they wind up killing these zombies. And then it sort of opens up to a scene where he's giving the Gettysburg Address.
Oh God.
He's giving the Gettysburg Address. Now, mind you, the acting, it it's on YouTube, and I think people should watch it because it's kind of a comical, farcical, not historically accurate, of course, because zombies and everything. But beyond all of that, it was pretty captivating to me. The guy who plays Abe Lincoln, I think he did a good job. The sound wasn't perfect. It sounded like they were in a bathroom. You know what I mean? When you're like when you're talking on the phone and there's like nothing to like absorb the sound.
Right.
It kind of sounded a little bit like that, but it was pretty good. It's not annoying, but you could tell that the sound quality isn't really where it should have been. So anyway, they do wind up um, killing the zombies, and he's giving the Gettysburg Address, and but then so he has vanquished these zombies, but Wilkes Booth was still trying to kill him, and so now this is 1865. He's given the address, but what happened was the woman Mary, who was infected, he kept her alive. It was like a year later, and he kept her alive, and she was in a barn, and there was a doctor that was tending to her, and he just couldn't bring himself to kill her because he still loved her. So the zombie was like his side chick. Okay, he was married. Okay, he did have married time. So the zombie chick was like in this barn in chains because he couldn't bring himself to kill her, and there was a doctor tending to her, and he would go in there and he would just talk to her and tell her that he loved her and try to give her care. And they were trying to find a cure and they couldn't find one. So as he's wiping her hands, she grabbed him and then she bit him. Yeah, 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 right? I see your face. Yes. So she bit him, and he tells the doctor, look, I need to write a letter. You need to write this letter. So he wrote this letter. He gave it to the doctor. Deliver it to this person. So he delivers it to Wilkes Booth, and no one knows that he's been bitten. And so they cut to a scene where him and Mary Todd are going out for the evening. They're going to the theater. And so when Wilkes Booth reads the letter, he goes, oh, this is my chance to shoot him. So that's how they justified the shooting of Lincoln
Oh.
at the theater, because he was turning into a zombie and Wilkes Booth would have shot him, and
Wow.
which is what he did do. Now, isn't that was a twist? Wasn't that a twist?
Yeah, it's a twist.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't impressive to you. I thought it
No,
was
no, that's pretty
actually
cool. I mean, oh boy, John Wilkes Booth is the good guy. Did not have that on the bingo card, but yeah.
John Wilkes Booth turns out to be the good guy, and he wanted to kill him because they were upset about the pesky slavery thing, and so he was trying to stop him. But this was like his opportunity. He was activated to go and take out Lincoln, and but
Wow.
he was a zombie. So yeah, that movie I thought was, as zombie movies go, and I know it sounds a little corny, but as zombie movies go, and these were the slow moving zombies. Some of them moved excuse me, some of them moved a little fast. Oh, excuse me. Some of them moved a little fast. Like as they got closer to you, they were able to, like, you know what I mean, grab you. Right. But when they were further away, it was so cool seeing them like in period pieces, like period costume. And but they were like the undead. So they certainly did, and they were very, very hungry. They were voracious, but we already discussed it was
Did you like the good? Were the effects decent?
well, no.
Oh, okay. Well, she got right to the
Well,
point.
no, I mean the effects were like you could see some of the effects. Like there was this there was this one effect that I thought if I could have captured it and shown it to you guys, I think you would have appreciated it. But this was after they blew up the zombies. So then you had Lincoln and this black guy who was part of his crew to help him kill the zombies. They were like coming out of the smoke together, and it was just like this sort of cinematic slow motion, sort of sort of thing. When they were cutting the heads off and stuff. Yeah, it was it was okay. I mean, it was decent, but you could see that it was, they were kind of on a budget. It was a movie that took place kind of in one spot, one place, and then like in the woods, and then in a shed, and then in a fort. And then so it took place really in one major place, and then it kind of, moved from there. But the effects, I would say, well, I don't know. I just liked it because I am a fan of campy vampire movies. So out of all the ones I've reviewed, believe it or not, I really enjoyed this one. Movies. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you saying something?
I wasn't.
Oh, I
I
thought you
was
said.
coughing. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were saying.
Coughing a lot.
So that's kind of my review. I think if you're interested in seeing a movie that isn't going to take itself too seriously, but you enjoy the zombie genre, it's not heavy, you know what I mean? I thought the ones that you guys are talking about, it had a noir sort of feel to it, zombie noir sort of energy to it. This one is nothing, this one's nothing like that. It's just a very straightforward. Abraham Lincoln is kicking the shit out of zombies with a giant sickle. And
How do people watching see this movie for free, or do they?
oh no, you could see it for free, sure. It's on YouTube.
Is it on Tubi or any of those other?
I didn't look there. I just looked on YouTube,
Okay.
and because I wanted to find, I looked up like funny, campy. It's not comical, but it came up, and that's what I wanted to. And I liked that whole Abraham Lincoln fighting a sort of a
Did this
zombie.
did the same
It's got
actor
the
play?
historical angle.
What'd you
I'm
say,
sorry?
It's got
Justin?
the history angle with Abe Lincoln and John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Teddy Roosevelt as a
At
child.
least the characters, Yes, yes, true.
Which I thought was, that's the part that I thought was funny. Like Teddy Roosevelt as a child in a vampire movie with Abraham Lincoln
But Did
and
the
John
same
Wilkes Booth.
did the same actor play Abraham Lincoln in this as in this vampire movie?
No, no, it was a different actor, but I thought it represented well. It translated, it's not the same actor, but it was pretty good. And I thought the dialogue, I mean, they didn't capture the spirit of how people spoke then, but
It's anachronistic.
in terms of just, dear, my dear Clementine, I'm powerfully sorry I was not able to receive you today. You know what I mean? It wasn't you know what I mean? It wasn't
Yeah.
like that, but I thought it was good for what it was. It was like an hour and a half or something like that.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So that's me. I think you should watch it.
Uh,
Mhm.
Hi, you've been watching Deep Images, our series on zombies, and this is our first session with Yvette Izan, star of Island of the Living Dead and Zombies: The Beginning, as our special guest panelist. We hope you'll stay tuned for the upcoming installments in this series. And in the meantime, please remember to, well, I'll let my co-host tell you what you.
Well, like, subscribe, and share, please. I have no shame about asking people to like, subscribe, and share because, we are an independent community here. We're doing everything ourselves. And let's just do our bit to spread the love and the beautiful time that everybody has taken to research these movies and bring them to you. So yeah, we do everything with love, but so that's what we'd like you to share with love as well. So thank you.
We appreciate you watching. Okay.
desires, breathing in fire, money ablaze, fueling my last days. No reason, consistent treason, no right to live. Could you forgive?